After writing 2 transformational books myself and supporting many other beings to do the same, I've become enthralled by the deep and mysterious magic that's activated when we choose to say yes to ourselves and commit to the book writing journey. Of course, we want to inspire change and new perspectives in our readers, but the transformation that happens as an author, both throughout the writing process and by actually releasing your book into the world, is surprisingly potent. I know I've been blindsided in the most disruptive and delicious ways by some of the changes my books have brought into my life. Writing a book is like casting a spell. Although we can never be completely sure what's going to be unleashed during the process, we choose to do it anyway. This Unbound one is a heroic journey. Each book has the potential to be a magical portal, a doorway to a new world, both for you and your reader. Each book has a very specific medicine that it's here to share with us. And each book gives us the opportunity to alchemize the magnificent imperfection of our experience into gold. The truth is that anyone can write a book. We could all get a few thousand words down and put them together. But what fascinates me is what happens when we allow the book writing process to go deeper. When we say, fuck it, get naked and dive way down beneath the surface. Letting go of the shoulds and any need to be acceptable, sensible, or approved of. What fascinates me is what happens when we make ourselves fully available to being transformed by the very act of writing a book. This is Unbound Writing, and this is the process we'll be exploring together here in the Unbound Writers Club. I'm Nicola, author and founder of the Unbound Press, and I help magical beings to write the transformational book they're really here to write at this time. I'm your guide here in the Unbound Writers Club, and the aim of this podcast is to help you to feel supported, encouraged, activated as you embark on your book writing journey. Whether you're a first-time author or have many books out in the world, my hope is that you will find something here to inspire you. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the Unbound Writers Club. Oh, I went a bit croaky then. Oh, it's Nicola here, and I'm here with a solo episode today, which is interesting because the focus of the episode is community, and specifically creating community around your writing, which is a key aspect of the Unbound Writing approach. This idea that rather than waiting until your book is out there in the world, there is the opportunity, the invitation to start creating community, like calling your people in right from the beginning of the process. It's like you're inviting people to come on the book writing journey with you. And, you know, that idea, that energy of community can be infused into the whole of your book writing journey. Now, when I talk about community, I think sometimes we can go to this place of imagining that it has to be like this huge group of people. There's a lot of talk, certainly in the publishing world, about growing your author platform or having a big enough platform in order to kind of be worthy of writing a book. And certainly, like my own personal approach and the approach we take at the Unbound Press is kind of back to front. That idea is back to front. The idea that you have to spend all of this time growing an author platform, like a huge email list or social media presence, you know, whatever it is, before you even think about writing a book. It's like, who has got time for that? You know, and I think that maybe there used to be ways that you could do that relatively quickly, but that's not the case anymore. That's not the case. And the approach that I take and the approach we take with our authors at the Unbound Press is write the book. If you're feeling the call, write the book. like I said, start creating community and connecting with people throughout the writing process. And also once it's out in the world, there's still the opportunity to be connecting with people and growing your community, your platform, if you want to call that, once the book is out in the world. It doesn't always have to be done. It doesn't all have to be done before the book is out there. Your book can be the starting place. They can activate that sense of community. So this approach that I'm talking about is really moving out of the headspace where we're really focusing on the numbers and just trying to get more and more people, and feeling into the quality of connection. Because when it comes to community, yes, it can be a community of readers, like people who are going to be interested in reading your book, who have read your book. Amazing. Of course, we want that as authors. It can also, within that community, be people who go on to become clients of whatever work you're doing in the world, if that's relevant to you. If your work is connected with the book that you're writing. That's not always the case, but usually it is, certainly with the books we're releasing through the Unbound press. But also within the community, your community, whatever that looks like, there will be people there who are, maybe they're not reading your book, maybe they're not potential clients, but they will be cheerleaders. Maybe your book is not for them at this time, but they'll be telling other people about what you do. They'll be supporting you and, like I said, cheering you on. There can be people in your community who are potential kind of co-creators and collaboration partners who maybe invite you onto their podcast, or you invite them onto your podcast, or you host some kind of event together, or they connect you with somebody else who, that can lead to another opportunity. So it's really kind of broadening out our perspective of what community is, and like connecting for the joy of it as well, letting go of any attachment to what the outcome is going to be. Like, we're not connecting with people just because they might want to read our books, or they might want to become a client, or offer us some kind of opportunity. We're doing it because we're human. As well as writers. We are writers having a human experience, and we just want to connect with other people, with other magical beings. And that can be a few people, or it can be a big group of people. So, as I'm talking about this today, I just want you to, rather than kind of going up into your head and thinking, how can I connect with as many people as possible? Just be like, okay, I can do this my way. And maybe your community grows like as a series of one-to-one connections. Earlier this month in the Unbound Writers Club membership, which you are very welcome to join, by the way, magical one, we had a masterclass around creating community around your writing. And we went through this process, and really it can be very simple. And my invitation to the writers who were on that masterclass is to keep this really simple, kind of like strip back your idea of what it means to create a community, and to start with your intention. What is the intention you hold for the community that you are wanting to create around your writing? Like, what is the intention for you? What do you want to experience as you create and grow the community? And what is your intention for each of the humans who are called into that, who feel called to that community? Like, what is the focus? What do you want to experience together? And when we were talking about this during the masterclass, it was really interesting because people were sharing their intentions, and it was a real mixture of what your people might be stepping out of, like what they want to move away from, and what you are inviting them to step into, like more of. So in my case, when I first started creating a community, and I wasn't even doing it very kind of like consciously, it was kind of out of my conscious awareness, just quite naturally doing it. Once I started to work with the word and the energy of Unbound, the invitation was to step out of that place, or step away from that place where you are being the good girl, doing things the way you feel they should, like beating yourself up for kind of perceived imperfections that you have, even though that's where the magic is, and to step into being more unbound. And when you are creating and sharing your community, I feel like it's really important to kind of describe both of those aspects. So letting people know kind of what you're inviting them to step away from or step out of, and what you're inviting them to step into. So being intentional about the kind of community you want to create, and then thinking like, how do I want to create this community? And again, this is a place where we can go into overwhelm, because like there's so many ways we can do this. And there can be this belief that we have to be doing all the things in order to create interest in what we're doing and be connecting with people who might be interested in what we're doing. Especially in this online age where like there's so many different platforms. It's like, well, what should I do? Like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, should I be making reels? Should I be doing YouTube? Should I be doing lots of lives? Should I be writing articles? Like, should I start a podcast? Should I be going on other people's podcasts? Oh my goodness, it's making me feel panicky just saying it all. So I apologize. Let's just take a breath. I mean, I haven't, like, that's like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the different ways that we can be creating and growing a community. So again, the invitation is to keep it really simple, to strip it back and think, what is the most aligned and joyful way for me to be creating and growing my community? What would feel good for me? And this could be in-person events. Like that came up a lot during the masterclass in the Unbound Writers Club membership. Like a lot of the women were really feeling the call to be hosting in-person events, like small gatherings. They're not like big events, but small gatherings. And actually, I feel that's a really powerful thing to do, because over the past couple of years, we've just really been living in the online space, like on Zoom, like on screens all the time. And people are craving that in-person connection. Maybe it's not so many people that you have the opportunity to connect with in that way, but the quality of connection. Like, I totally believe you can have an amazing quality of connection online, and also in person. It's another level, like when you're in the same space, whether that's inside or outside. And actually, one of the things that I said during the masterclass was like, when we've been hanging out with people in person, like in real life, and like whether that's kind of an informal gathering or, an event that you've put together or a retreat, like we take that energy of connection, like really rich connection. And if we do share something online afterwards, it's infused with that quality, and our books get infused with that quality then. So that can be really powerful. In terms of the ways that I personally have created community and grown the Unbound writing community, which wasn't a writing community when I first started my author journey. When I was writing Heal Your Inner Good Girl, I started a free Facebook group, Unbound Living, it was called at the time. And like, I still have a free Facebook group now, the Unbound Collective, which again, you are very welcome to join. And actually, that isn't so much focused on writing. It's more about living unbound. And it's something like the Facebook group that I drifted away from. It was very engaged when I first started it for the first couple of years. And then I moved away from that. And it's actually something I've come back to now, because it feels like a really great way for us to connect. But it's okay to drift away from things. This is the thing. It's okay to change your mind and to try different things out. Just because you're choosing to create community in a particular way, that you're feeling the call to do it in a particular way now, doesn't mean you have to do it like that forever. And a really key aspect of the Unbound writing community now and has become this podcast. I mean, this podcast, we don't do huge numbers of downloads. I think, I don't know, we've done 2 years of the podcast and the total number of downloads is around 5,000, which is tiny compared to a lot of people. But it creates a really powerful form of connection. The people who listen to this podcast, you being one of them, they feel this sense of connection with the Unbound writing community. And I've had people who've listened to like one episode and messaged me saying like, I'm in tears because I feel like I've kind of come home and I found my way. Now, that means everything to me. So you can see, and that then, that person has gone on to become a member of the Unbound Writing Mastermind and become an author with the Unbound Press, and like had quite a few examples like that where people have come to us through the podcast. So you can see it's not all about the numbers. And actually, like, this is a really simple and joyful thing for me to do, whether I'm recording a solo episode like this, where I just plug my mic in and off I go, or I'm in conversation with one of the Unbound writers. And that's the easiest, the most joyful thing in the world for us, just to free flow and see what wants to come through. So it gets to be easeful, it gets to be simple, and it gets to be joyful. What is the most aligned and joyful way for you to be creating community around your writing right now? And I really invite you to choose one thing and go all in with that. Really go all in, at least initially. Like, give it a chance. A number of the women on the masterclass earlier in the month were saying, they just felt really cool to go back to basics and be reaching out to people one-to-one, like connecting with people one-to-one, like dropping them a message, sending them an email, saying, look, I'm writing my book. Would you be interested in keeping in touch? Like, I am so here for that. We don't always have to be, and we don't ever have to be like in this place of like broadcasting. Like, we can keep it really intimate. And the last question I want to ask you today is like, what's one thing, one step you could take right now to be creating or growing your community around your writing? And really tune in, perhaps close your eyes and ask the question, what's one thing that I feel called to do right now? One inspired action, and go do it. Because, this is an evolving process. It's like I always say about writing, you don't wait for clarity, you write for clarity. And it is the same with growing a community. People sometimes ask me, well, how have you created this community, Nicola? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I can see some of the things that I've done, that I've shared with you, the Facebook group, this podcast, but there have been countless steps along the way. And it really is just following those nudges of inspiration. And very often, I'll connect with someone either in person or online, I'll come across them. And it really is reaching out and having those one-to-one connections. Because the more of those you have, you never know where they might lead to. And that's certainly been my experience. So, community, I'm really fascinated to know what comes up for you around this and what do you feel inspired to create after listening. Get in touch. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Nicola Humber. Just come and send me a DM. I would love, love, love to hear from you. And of course, as ever, if you are feeling the call to be part of the Unbound Press family of authors to write and publish your book with us, we are looking for our next wave of authors right now. So again, get in touch. You can just come and find me on Instagram. And like I said, I'm at Nicola Humber. Pop into my DMs and we can start the conversation. Here's to creating community and magical connection around our writing. Sending you lots and lots of love, Magical One. I'll see you soon.